Well, welcome to the Summit Register. We're here at Mission Trails. We just climbed up South Fortuna, a beautiful hike, one of the 5 peaks. I'm here with Sonja, one of our guides, a member of our board of advisors. Excited to learn a little bit, get a little bit of wisdom about leadership. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
amazing day.
Beautiful day. Sonja, we'll dive right in. What are your core values?
Top one is make a difference. And that really is, in my career, it's been making a difference with people. That the team really comes first. And the other is giving something back to the world. As well as the courage is the other value that I really believe in. And that has a lot to do with making a difference. If you don't have the courage to do something that nobody else is doing, or try something new and pick yourself up, and when it fails, you really aren't able to make a difference. So that's why my 2 values.
It shows action. Like literally, if you're not doing your value, you're not doing. How do you know when you've made a difference?
An example, I had a motley team of engineers, very diverse, and it made a difference when I could see that they were all collaborating together to get something done. So in that instance, it really was making a difference in their enjoyment of work, their motivation, and we drove and delivered. We were delivering software for 200 million HP printers, and it was a thankless job because Microsoft kept pulling the rug out. So they would tell me, how did I know? You could just see it in productivity, and you could just see it in how people enjoyed being together.
So you can see people's enjoyment in their productivity. And by the way, my HP printer works better than my Canon, so you made a difference in my life right there.
But nobody ever would tell us that. We just heard when it was broken.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What's your philosophy or approach to leading people?
Leading people. One of the most important things I really do believe is motivation. If you get to the core of what people are motivated to develop mastery in, you can identify what skills they have, and they can just do anything and really make a change. If you have someone that's going through the motions and really isn't motivated, it's a whole lot of work to get things done.
Yeah, and that's rings true with Dan Pink and his theory of mastery, autonomy. That's really cool to hear. So how do you find out what people want to master?
I think the big thing is asking.
Yeah.
You know, you have to build that trust where people feel they can connect and share what they really care about, not what they think you want to hear, but really ask and be authentic, so they know that you really care about what they want, and what motivates, what gets them out of bed in the morning. One, you just have to ask the question.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't know, and they have to think about it, and be patient.
So few leaders take the time just to ask, and it's a simple thing, maybe scary. So I want to get into the most fun part here. You do winter backpacking, winter trips. You've taught for the Sierra Club. You're a guide with us. What have you learned personally and professionally from outdoor time, outdoor adventure?
The biggest thing that comes to mind is the importance of planning, the importance of evaluating the risk of what you're doing and having a plan, and flexibility. Because outdoor adventure will throw whatever you don't expect at you. If you haven't spent some time planning, some of what it throws at you can really make things miserable. And it's so wonderful when a huge winter storm comes in and you've gone out snow camping and you thrive. A good example, I was out with 15 people and leading up into sleet, snow, up into San Jacinto Mountain, and what I loved is when we got to the top, everyone said, we don't want to go down. We know that it's going to be a cold night. We know that we're prepared. We want to tackle this challenge. And that's what I love, is that preparedness, as well as the flexibility to say, okay, it's not safe. Do I have to be, and make that evaluation? Do I, as a leader, have to direct, we have to go down for safety? And there was actually 2 people I had to direct to go down for safety because they hadn't properly prepared. Couldn't do it without all that planning, but then you also have to be flexible.
So you practice those things. A good outdoors person will practice planning and risk management.
Yeah.
And that applies directly to leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to plan. It's not like a sexy thing to be in my office doing Excel spreadsheets and everything, but it is, I agree, critical to leadership. What would you tell someone who struggles with planning and just wants to be the doer and out inspiring their people?
I think that's where the wilderness throws things at you that you learn firsthand how important that planning is.
Wow.
Good example of that is tell somebody where you're going, what time to expect you back, and then what to do if you're not back. Because it shouldn't be panic, because that doesn't help at all. And if you're somewhere in Anza Borrego and it's notify the sheriff, because they can just drive over and see that your car's there and you've just taken a little more time, then everybody's not sending out the search and rescue team. So just back to your question is, how do you convince somebody to do that? I think some of it is you learn by making mistakes sometimes, but then you can also listen to what other people have experienced and say, yeah, it's worth it. It's great when, that little bit of planning, all of a sudden everybody's happy instead of miserable.
So as a leader, personally, I've had this experience. You plan everything out to a T and it goes perfectly and your people are like, we did an awesome job. And you're like, yeah, but I planned for hours and days and months. What's your advice in that frustration, I guess, to get over the ego there?
I think that's absolutely right. It's getting over the ego. People have much more value when things go wrong, and then there's been a heroic effort to make things right. And some of that just is. I can't say that I've found a good way to convince people that it's really the planning that's made everything go right until they plan their own trip themselves. So.
Yeah, they email you a decade later and say, thank you so much for planning. It just is. And I imagine you can watch the plan unfold and feel like you made a difference, going back to the core values.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that helps is to be transparent that there is planning happening. Often, heavy planners will make it look easy, and sharing what that planning process is and having people participate in the planning really makes a difference. One thing that I do on my trips is every single person needs to show that they know where we're going and an understanding of the time and the plan. For example, if I'm climbing a mountain and I know that to get back before it's dark, need to have a turnaround point, every single person on the trip knows that information before you go. And I think it's the same in business, as you're managing and leading a big team, there's times that you communicate, this is going to be a check-in time. So you're being very transparent about what your plan is, and that really helps.
Yeah, that's a really actionable, great tip to just tell people you're planning. It's easy to just get it into your closet and plan, and then roll it out and not involve the team, and I appreciate that. What's your experience with flow? It's something typically people experience in outdoor sports. Yes, no, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. We were just earlier, you and I, talking about an example of